Hello, and welcome to the first in a series of short YouTube presentations entitled Science versus Religion, the Battlefield of Evolution. This has been adapted from a course that I developed and taught for 5 years at UMBC, a college within the University of Maryland system. What follows owes an enormous debt to the many excellent students who have taken the course over these years. It has truly changed beyond all recognition, thanks to their insights and enthusiasm for the topic. But for our present purposes, one of the simplest questions is why this course exists at all. And the simple answer is that while at the University of Maryland, one of my main duties was to teach undergraduate and graduate courses in the theory of evolution. Our student body comprises a rich diversity of cultures and backgrounds, giving me some direct experience of the wealth of different opinions that exist within contemporary America about the relationship between science and religion. However, a more objective view comes from the results of market research surveys that have probed the beliefs of the American public. This one, from Gallup, asks respondents to align themselves with one of 3 statements describing the origins of humanity: that humans have developed over millions of years from less advanced forms of life, with God directing the process; that humans have developed over millions of years from less advanced forms of life without any input from God; or that God directly created humans in their present form at some time within the last 10,000 years. This is a question that Gallup has been asking for several years running, but the results don't change much. In particular, it appears that around half the American public consistently respond that God has created humans in their present form within the last 10,000 years. This directly contradicts the views of modern science. But if we switch to a more global view, then we find that the situation can vary considerably from one place to another. For example, when another recent poll asked respondents from 34 different countries the simple question, "Is evolution true?" it emerged that rejection of evolution is unusually high within the United States. At the other end of the belief spectrum, we find various European countries, including my homeland of the United Kingdom. Here, beliefs are almost inverted from America. A clear majority of the British accept the truth of evolution, in contrast to the majority of Americans who either reject the theory or report that they are not sure. Meanwhile, other polls that have probed the religious beliefs of the British have found that a similarly clear majority have no connection to any religion or church, whereas an equivalent poll for the American public found that only a tiny percentage of US citizens declare themselves to be either atheist or agnostic. All of this has led some to conclude that religion and science represent natural opposites on some sort of spectrum of possible beliefs. For example, it's not hard to find a vocal minority of those whose religious beliefs cause them to reject evolution at every possible opportunity, proposing that our very notion of relationship with God is one that has come under attack from the ideas of modern science. Nor is it hard to find others who present an opposing side to this debate, proposing religion as an enemy of science, perhaps even a virus of the mind that can be cured by proper scientific understanding. But this course is not going to be a presentation of evidence for or against evolution. In fact, it isn't science versus religion at all. You know where to find these books, and these days they could fill a small library. In fact, a growing section of that library could even contain books that preach a specific view on how science and religion fit together. But we're not going to follow in their footsteps either. The aim here is to go a lot deeper than that. And to understand why, let us turn to one more survey. This time we're looking at the results of a Mori poll that asked the question, is it possible to believe in both God and science simultaneously? Once again, results varied considerably from country to country. But I'd like to draw your attention to the very similar proportion of American and British citizens who answered that they perceived no contradiction between the two beliefs. This contrasts with the very different views of the two countries on belief in evolution, and with the very different proportions of each country who identify themselves as religious. In other words, it seems that people's beliefs can range all over the map. They can accept or reject evolution, and they can accept or reject religion, and neither belief seems to accurately predict where they will stand on the other. Indeed, beliefs are so diverse that it seems questionable whether any one description of the relationship between religion and science will ever suffice. This insight is perhaps surprising only insofar as it is not well represented in the books that exist on the topic. Their tendency seems to be to try to tell you what to think. So one of my aims is to ask you directly, what do you think? Take a moment to answer right now. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in evolution? In providing answers to these questions, you have started to form a credo, or a statement of your beliefs. And in fact, that is one of the underlying aims of this course, to ask you to generate a succinct, self-consistent credo describing your own perception of the interface between science and religion. Your reaction may well be that you don't need this or any other course to help you define your beliefs. And in answer to that, I would simply offer the information that most, if not all, of the students who have come through this course have typically found that in the questions that follow, they have had to re-evaluate one or more aspects of what they thought they already knew. But a deeper aim of this course is to generate dialogue between people with different perceptions about religion and science, and that idea is important enough to discuss in greater detail. What is dialogue? Well, in common speech we use it to refer to a conversation carried out between two or more people. But I've already told you that this is not going to be a course of endless debates between opposing views on science and religion. The point here is that if we look closely at the origins of the word debate, then we find that it comes from the same root as words such as combat or battle, to fight or to beat down. Dialogue, on the other hand, comes from the Greek words dia, meaning across, and logos, meaning words or knowledges. It thus implies some sort of bridge building between different beliefs. The question of how we might generate this dialogue is what occupies most of the rest of this course. However, before we move forwards, let me summarize the major points of this introductory video. First, there are a wealth of different books out there that seek to present their own view of the correct relationship between science and religion. The problem is that they tend to represent sides of a debate, attempts to make a case that there is only one correct way to view the situation. This approach offers limited potential for a world that already comprises a rich diversity of different perceptions on the topic. In my experience, people tend to read the books that confirm or extend their pre-existing point of view. And yet we find ourselves living and working alongside others with different points of view. It would thus appear that what's missing are tools and resources that facilitate dialogue, building bridges between these different points of view. And that is reflected in my goals for this course. Firstly, to encourage you to generate a succinct but carefully thought out credo of your own beliefs. And secondly, as a byproduct of this process, to generate dialogue with people whose ideas differ from yours. So if you are still interested to follow through with the rest of these video presentations, then I would ask you to make two commitments. First, that you be prepared to read and often to write between one presentation and the next. And second, that you try to find at least one other person to take the course alongside you. My aim is to pitch this material at a level that would be suitable for high school students, book clubs, church discussion groups, or any other small community that meets to discuss such topics as these. When I've taught it as a class, it has typically worked best for groups of around 10 to 15 students. One advantage of this video style of presentation is that there is no need for everyone to watch at the same time. All that matters is that having watched a presentation, you are prepared to write down your thoughts and then discuss them in whatever manner seems best to you. The important implication is that you are ready to listen to the thoughts written by someone else, and this could be in a traditional type of meeting or even by email. Now, if having heard all of that you are ready to proceed, then I would ask you to undertake a first simple writing assignment by returning to the questions that I asked earlier. Do you believe in God? And do you believe in evolution? In each case, I would ask you to keep your answers short, 50 to 100 words. Bigger, or in this case longer, is not always better. And in my experience as both a research scientist and teacher, I've noticed that the more clearly people have thought through and understood what they are trying to say, the less words they need. That said, there are specific points I would like you to address within your answers. If you do believe in God, then do you associate yourself with any particular organized religion? If your answer is no or not sure, then can you explain a little more precisely? As part of this, it might help if you refer to whichever of the following words are appropriate, and you can check definitions if necessary: agnostic, atheist, theist, deist, and pantheist. Likewise, as you answer the second question, take a moment to explain what sort of background leads you to this position. Have you taken classes in evolution, or read books on the topic? As part of this, it would help if you describe what exactly you mean by the word evolution. When I teach an introductory course on the topic, I often find that whatever people's attitudes towards the theory, they tend to mean something very different by the word from what I study as a researcher. And with that, I finish this introductory video. Next time, we will turn attention to how we can start to use your answers to build towards dialogue.